guys, I'm Dan from Shastabubba Adventures, and I'm just heading out on a new hike today. Today we're going to be exploring the Scapegoat Wilderness, which is the southernmost part of the Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex. And I'm heading up a river, actually right up in that canyon right behind me, which is the North Fork of the Blackfoot. And you may have heard of that river because the main Blackfoot River was the one that was featured in the famous Norman Maclean book and movie, The River Runs Through It. Not exactly sure where I'm going to end up on this trip. It's a lot, depends on the conditions that I find. I know I'm going to the North Fork Cabin, but that's about 6 miles in, and from there I could go northeast or west are all options. I'm hoping to head north though and go to the Carmichael Cabin. Thanks for coming along. This is an area just a little ways in to the trail called the Big Slide, and it's not too hard to imagine what they're talking about if you picture all of that sloughing off from the top of the mountain there. And you can really tell how the river has sliced through what was left. I hiked this trail almost exactly 6 years ago, and there had been a brand new fresh avalanche that had come through just past that first pack bridge about 3 miles in, and I shot this shaky footage where they had cut a new trail up higher rather than have to cut through all of the mess that was left from that debris field. And this is what it looks like now in 2020. They finally cut through the original trail closer to the river. But they're still using both trails. Now they're using it for one-way stock traffic. This is what the pack bridge at the North Fork Cabin looked like in 2016. And this is what it looks like today. The Forest Service has been very busy. This is one of those cases where I kind of wish I was on a horse. The horse traffic takes a pretty gentle trail winding up around this knob, but the hiker traffic goes straight up. In order to view the North Fork Falls, you have to climb up a pretty good hill behind the North Fork Cabin, which of course puts me in a high open spot, which, you know, just as the thunderclouds are rolling in. Since the thunderstorms were threatening and it was starting to rain, I didn't dwell too long filming the falls. I knew I'd be back in a couple of days and hoped I could do a better job then. Well, this looks like kind of a deep ford. Not really looking forward to this, since it is almost 7 o'clock at night. Might be a little chilly. Well, it's 7:15 and I just made it to the Carmichael Cabin. Not too special, is it? I imagine it's cozy inside though. It's got a lovely setting. Looks like there's been some bear activity around here in the last week or so. Found a dandy camping spot just about 100 yards from the cabin. and I think it's just on a tributary stream to the North Fork of the Blackfoot. And there's the little stream, which is ripping. Got my tent all set up, which you can see is far from a perfect pitch, but I'm happy to get that done because the mosquitoes are pretty bad and there's threatening rain, but right now I am starving, so time for dinner. Well, I'm pretty happy with the way that day turned out. 14 and a half miles in the end, and I think I made okay time considering that I stopped and did a lot of filming on the way, and this is pretty much the first big hike of the season, so feet are pretty sore. Pretty much everything is sore. Just gonna have a quick dinner, eat about as fast as I can so I can dive into the tent, get away from the mosquitoes and the potential rain. Got some thunder in the mountains here, so I'm hoping that I'll be okay tonight, but I think I will. I've got the net tent with me, so no problems for skeeters or for splashing potential. So I think it'll be fine, and hope to get a good night's sleep and hit it in the morning. Bagel sandwich, peanut butter, bacon, and honey. Can't beat it. So today I started at the North Fork trailhead. That's the North Fork of the Blackfoot, and hiked up this trail. That's the first pack bridge, and then on up here to the second pack bridge and the North Fork Cabin. And then this was that hill I had to climb up over, right over to here to the North Fork Falls in order to get that beautiful view of those falls. And then along here and then up further the North Fork of the Blackfoot River to the Carmichael Cabin. And this is where I'm camped the first night, just right on this, it's called Cooney Creek, just past the Carmichael Cabin. I'm really amazed at how few people I saw today. This is Juneteenth, by the way, happy Juneteenth. That means tomorrow is the summer solstice, longest day of the year, so I really have plenty of daylight left. But I ran into just two parties in the first 3 or 4 miles. We leapfrogged a little bit. By the time I got to the North Fork Cabin, and from then on, I haven't seen a single person. And not only that, I haven't even seen tracks of anybody. So really feeling kind of alone in the world tonight. Well, good morning. It's a little chilly this morning. It's 43 degrees, which is why I'm wearing everything I own. But the sun's out and just starting to peek over the hills, so I'm optimistic things are going to warm up pretty soon. Just going to have some breakfast, actually going to do a warm breakfast of hot oatmeal and coffee this morning and take my time so the sun has a chance to dry out the shelter. It did rain a little bit last night, nothing problematic, but things are pretty wet this morning, so I think I'll have a nice leisurely start and let everything dry out, hopefully enough so that, well, I guess it doesn't matter if I get wet from underbrush because I have a ford to do first thing in the morning, so either way I'm going to be wet. A little stiff and sore, but no real problems. I sure slept like a log last night, passed out, and slept about 10 hours, so should be refreshed and revitalized for today's activities. So, not exactly sure. I think I might climb a mountain and give you a good view from up on the mountain, and maybe do a little fishing. Final thing I did last night before hitting the sack was to hang the food, and as I was coming back from hanging the food I spotted this, and I'm pretty sure that is bear, and it seems pretty fresh to me, like within the last day or so. So I went to bed thinking I was hearing lots of stuff rumbling around. Nice thing about camping next to a Forest Service cabin is there's facilities available. Don't have to dig a cat hole. And here's the Carmichael Cabin corral and hay storage. That's not easy to say. Carmichael Cabin is a little more attractive in the morning light. And the mountain I'm thinking of climbing is right there. Okay, well, I'm all packed up and ready to hit the trail. It's 11:30. I've actually been enjoying the pleasant morning and filming the video for the second video about overcoming anxiety in the wilderness. So it's taken me a little bit of time, and unfortunately things seem to have taken a turn for the worse weather-wise. It's clouded up quite a bit and I'm hearing some thunder, so I'm not too sure how high I'm going to get on that mountain, but I'll try to get up there big enough, far enough to get a good view. Let's go. I'm actually not sure if the trail I'm going to go on climbs that mountain or this one that I keep pointing at. The trail up the side of this mountain is a side trail that doesn't really go anywhere else. So naturally not many people use it, and that means you can expect having to climb over lots of blowdown. About 800 feet up now, and I've entered this lovely forest of white bark pine. At least I believe that's what it is. And not too sure how much farther I'm going to go. I figured out this trail does actually climb all the way up to Evans Peak, which is almost 9,000 feet, so I know I'm not going to go that far. Well, I can hardly believe it, but it looks like I'm actually going to make it up to that ridge I've been looking at all along. Didn't think I would be able to get up that far. I made it up to the top of the ridge, and it's worth it. There's just a fantastic view. Looking into the Bob. Here's the view looking back the way that I came. This is looking east. Well, that was a really fun side trip. I wouldn't have missed that for the world. And the trail actually was in pretty good shape. I'm surprised. There was maybe about 8 or 10 blowdowns to hop over, but in a few indistinct places, but really it was a pretty good trail. So kind of makes me wonder if maybe there was an old lookout tower up here that this trail went to. Made it back down to the meadow where I started this morning, and overall that trip was about 1,300 feet elevation gain and maybe 2.5 to 3 miles. Took about 3 hours, although someone with younger knees could probably shave a half an hour or more off that. Now that I'm back down, I noticed this that I didn't notice on the way up. Sign down. If you can't read that, it says Evans Peak Trail number 361. So apparently I'm not the only idiot who likes to just climb mountains for the heck of it. As I was hiking back down the trail, covering the same ground I had traveled the day before, it occurred to me how lucky I was that it had been cloudy and overcast both days. Hiking through this old burn area would have been really miserable if it had been a hot, sunny day. I swear to God, I just saw my first cougar. I just came around a corner and he was peeking around too. Obviously knew I was coming. As soon as he saw me, jumped off the trail and went downhill here. No idea where he is. That was freaking cool. Wish I could have got the camera out quick enough. It's about 5:30 and I'm getting pretty close back to the North Fork Falls. I decided to stop and make dinner because that's something I always say I'm going to do but never quite do, is eat somewhere and then hike a little bit farther so that you don't have the smells of cooking right around where you're camping. So it's a good idea in theory, but I usually have trouble getting myself to actually stop and take the time to do that. So I'm going to try that tonight and hope it works. This is just to show you the context of where I stopped for dinner. It's just the beginnings of the canyon that is forming the North Fork Falls. And that's where I'm hanging out. I'm just having some pasta fazool for dinner. It's a meal that my wife makes and then I dry it at home, and it takes about 10 minutes to rehydrate. So just enjoying the view. Boy, it seems like I worked a lot harder than the miles say today. I guess about 9 miles, maybe a little more than that, but I guess climbing up to that ridge took a fair amount out of me, and I didn't get started for late too, so I guess that plays a role. But I'll be happy to find a place to camp. I'm a little nervous that I won't be able to find something short of climbing up over the hill above the falls, and if that happens it's going to be another hour or maybe 2 hours and a bit of a slog to do. So hoping I can find something short of that, but I'm afraid it'll be pretty noisy because it's going to be so close to the falls. So we'll see where we land. This spot here isn't too bad. A person could probably make a stealth camp somewhere, but might be a little uneven. And this obviously is where the burn came through not too long ago, and there's a lot of charcoal around, so anytime you try camping in the area where there's a burn left over, can't help but get that on all your stuff, and it's hard to get out. So hoping for a better spot. Well, try the fazool. See how that's probably not completely hydrated yet. Yeah, a couple more minutes. Luckily I have some crackers to eat while I'm waiting. Mosquitoes are a little bad, but not too bad. One of the things I like about freezer bag cooking is there's no cleanup. Just to ziplock the bag and you're good to go. A little bit of water from the water jug is plenty to wash off your spoon. And so you can get going pretty quick, and it looks like it's going to start raining, so I probably should do that. It's about 6:15, so the timing is pretty good. I guess that only took about half an hour, a little more than half. So finish off with a nice dove of chocolate. For dessert, hit the trail and hope to find a spot to camp. Well, it might not look like much, but I think I found my spot. I think I can squeeze a tent in right in between that tree and that log. Pretty nice setting. I'm only about a quarter of a mile on from where we were when I was eating. And I hear a little stream, which could be very useful. By the way, this is what I mean when I use the term stealth camp. Basically it means setting up tent somewhere that probably nobody has ever slept before, and then you're really leaving no trace because it's not all pounded down. And I just pulled off here because it looked like a likely possibility, and lo and behold, I can't believe my luck. There's a little stream right here. Isn't that a beauty? So, I don't even have to dry camp. All the water I need. On day 2, I started at the camp on Cooney Creek, just past Carmichael Cabin, came back to this big meadow, and then took off on this trail up Evans Peak. And I believe I made it to about this ridge here, and was looking north at all the peaks and ridges of Scapegoat Mountain, right on the edge of the actual Bob Marshall Wilderness. And then came back down to that meadow and on down, retracing my steps along the North Fork of the Blackfoot. And on the second night, I believe I'm camped right about where this trail takes off, and it's not marked on the ground anymore, but there is remnants of a trail that I can see around the camp, so I'm pretty sure that's right where I'm at. And tomorrow will be pretty simple, just climb back up over this knob and on out along that same North Fork trail to the North Fork trailhead. I've been thinking about the Scapegoat Wilderness and how this is a place that people generally just pass through. Either they're on the Continental Divide Trail and rushing through to get to the main part of the Bob with the Chinese Wall, or they're on the Dry Fork Divide Trail, which is trafficked massively by the Forest Service because it's the lowest pass and the first one to open up. So they're resupplying the big station at Big Prairie. But I think it's worth spending some time here. I really enjoyed exploring it once you get past the North Fork Cabin and not on those main thoroughfares. There's a lot of beautiful country here. I think I'll come back and spend some more time here. Good morning. All packed up and ready to go. And I had kind of a rough night last night. I decided it would be a good idea and fun and atypical for me to camp early. But the mosquitoes are so bad that there wasn't really anything to do but crawl into the tent and hide from them, and so I was in bed by 7:30 and slept till 6 this morning. So you'd think I'd be really rested, but it was kind of a restless night. But I'm making up for it by getting an early start, up at 6 and on the trail at 7:15 with a cold breakfast of a couple of granola bars and some cold coffee, which might not sound good, but I actually kind of enjoy those days. So on the trail, and looking forward to exploring the North Fork Falls a little bit more. When I came through 2 days ago, there was thunderstorms rolling in, and it was starting to mist when I was right in the perfect picture place. So hoping that I can get a better shot at it today on the way back through. About 8 miles back to the trailhead, and no rush. I got plenty of time. My favorite part about stealth camping is knowing that in a few days or a week tops, all that vegetation will spring back and there won't be any sign of me having been here. It's a bit of a running joke in my trips that I've carried my Tenkara fishing rod for hundreds of miles and almost never take the time to actually fish with it. So I thought I finally would this time, and had the expected results of not catching anything. I did manage to lose my hook though. Maybe next time I'll head on up to that Falls Point lookout, get a viewpoint from there, quite a bit farther south than the Evans Peak trail I was on. Back again to the North Fork Cabin, and it's 9:30, so I'm actually making really good time despite the poor attempt at fishing. Last 3 miles from the bridge to the trailhead are kind of a slog, although it could be worse. Well, I got back to the trailhead about 12:30, and that was for an 8-mile day and kind of a drizzly hike back, but the overcast probably helped me out because it was cooler on some of the exposed burn sections of that trail. And I was sure happy that I was done when I was, because the trailhead was super crowded. I couldn't believe how many cars were there when I came out. A lot more. I thought it was full when I went in, but it was more when I came out. Well, thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more of my adventures, make sure and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can get alerted when the next one comes out, and there will certainly be more because the summer season is just starting. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.